Have you ever wondered why the Roman Empire dominated the world for over 1,000 years? Why they built wealth that lasted generations? Why their prosperity principles are still creating millionaires today, 2,000 years later? If you're watching this video, you're about to discover the 10 most powerful wealth secrets of the Roman Empire that modern billionaires still use but never talk about. And I'm warning you right now, these aren't the history lessons you learned in school. This is the hidden prosperity knowledge that built the greatest empire in human history. Drop a comment below. Do you believe ancient civilizations knew secrets about wealth that we've forgotten today? Because what I'm about to share will challenge everything you think you know about creating prosperity. Let me tell you a story that will transform how you think about money, power, and divine abundance forever. This is the story of Marcus Aurelius Severus, not the famous emperor, but a young Roman merchant in 150 AD, who discovered the wealth principles that would make him one of the richest men in the empire. But more importantly, this is your story too, because the same principles that built Roman fortunes can build yours, if you have the wisdom to recognize them and the courage to apply them in today's world. In the bustling city of Rome, at the height of imperial power, lived a 24-year-old merchant named Marcus. He came from a modest family. His father was a simple craftsman who made clay pots. His mother sold vegetables in the market. They had enough to survive, but never enough to truly prosper. Marcus was different from other young Romans of his generation. While his friends spent their time in the forums gossiping and complaining about the economy, Marcus observed. He watched the wealthy senators, the successful merchants, the powerful patricians. He studied their habits, their decisions, their mindset, and he noticed something that would change his life forever. The truly wealthy Romans all followed specific principles that the poor completely ignored. It wasn't luck. It wasn't inheritance. Many of the richest men in Rome had started with nothing. It was a systematic approach to prosperity that anyone could learn. Comment below if you're ready to learn these 10 principles that separated Roman millionaires from Roman peasants. Because I promise you, by the end of this story, you'll never think about wealth the same way again. Marcus began his journey of wealth discovery when he met Senator Gaius Maximus, an elderly statesman who had built incredible prosperity over his lifetime. One day, Marcus gathered the courage to approach the senator at the forum and asked a direct question. "Senator, I've watched you for months. You're one of the wealthiest men in Rome, yet you started as a common soldier with nothing. How did you do it?" Most wealthy Romans would have ignored such boldness from a young commoner. But Senator Maximus saw something in Marcus's eyes, genuine hunger for knowledge, not entitlement or envy. He smiled and said something Marcus would never forget. "Young man, wealth is not mysterious. It follows laws as predictable as the season. The Romans who prosper understand these laws. The Romans who struggle ignore them. Meet me at my villa tomorrow at dawn, and I'll teach you what took me 40 years to learn." Marcus barely slept that night. At dawn, he arrived at the senator's magnificent villa overlooking the Tiber River. What happened over the next 12 months would transform Marcus from a struggling merchant into one of the most prosperous businessmen in the empire. The senator began with a profound truth. "Marcus, the first and most important principle of Roman prosperity is this: mens imperit fortune. The mind commands fortune. Your external wealth will never exceed your internal wealth consciousness." This is the first Roman prosperity principle. Master your mind before you master money. The senator explained. Romans who stay poor have poor thinking. They believe wealth is scarce, that rich people are evil, that prosperity requires luck or connections they don't have. Their poverty exists in their mind long before it manifests in their purse. Wealthy Romans think differently. We see abundance everywhere. We know that money is simply a tool that flows to those who provide value. We understand that fortune favors the prepared mind, not the lucky man. Marcus absorbed this deeply. The senator continued, "Every morning before you even leave your bed, you must spend time building your wealth consciousness. The Roman elite have practiced this for generations. We call it the Matutina Meditatio, the morning meditation of abundance. Here's what you do. Before dawn breaks, while the city still sleeps, sit in silence. Visualize yourself as a man of great prosperity. See your businesses thriving. Feel the weight of gold coins in your hand. Imagine yourself making deals that enrich both parties. Experience the gratitude of providing value to Rome." This isn't wishful thinking, Marcus. This is mental architecture. You're literally building the neural pathways of prosperity in your mind. Do this every day for 30 days, and you'll notice opportunities you never saw before. Do it for a year, and your external reality will begin matching your internal vision. Marcus committed to this practice immediately. Every morning before dawn, he would sit in a small room and practice the Matutina Meditatio. At first, his mind wandered constantly, filled with doubts and distractions, but gradually the practice became powerful. His thinking changed. His confidence grew. Opportunities began appearing that he had been blind to before. Tell me in the comments, are you willing to wake up 30 minutes earlier every day to practice the Matutina Meditatio? Because this alone could transform your financial reality within 90 days. 3 weeks into his mentorship, Senator Maximus revealed the second Roman prosperity principle: divide et multiplica. Divide and multiply your income streams. Marcus, look around Rome, the senator said during one of their morning walks through the Forum. The struggling merchants have one shop, one product, one income source. What happens when that source dries up? They starve. But observe the wealthy Romans. Senator Brutus over there owns shipping businesses, vineyards, real estate in 3 provinces, and textile workshops. Merchant Claudius has import operations, a money-lending business, and partnerships in mining ventures across the empire. And the principle is simple but devastating in its power. Never depend on a single stream of income. Rome's prosperity comes from controlling multiple territories. Your personal prosperity must come from controlling multiple income sources. Marcus immediately saw the wisdom. He was earning modest income from selling pottery in the market, but that was his only source. If pottery demand dropped or if he got sick and couldn't work, his income stopped completely. The senator continued, here's your assignment. Within 6 months, create at least 3 separate income streams. They don't need to be massive at first, but they must be separate, so if one fails, the others sustain you. Marcus went to work immediately. He kept his pottery business but added 2 more ventures. First, he started buying damaged goods from wealthy Roman households at discount prices, repairing them and selling them at the market for profit. Second, he began offering delivery services for other merchants who were too busy or too old to transport their own goods. Within 6 months, Marcus had 3 distinct income sources. None were making him rich yet, but together they provided security and growth potential. More importantly, he was learning the mindset of diversification that would later make him wealthy. The third Roman prosperity principle came during a lesson about Roman military strategy. Festina lenti, make haste slowly. Take strategic action without reckless speed. Marcus. Observe how Roman legions conquer territories, Senator Maximus explained while watching soldiers train at the Campus Martis. They don't charge blindly into battle. They advance systematically, securing each position before moving forward. They build fortifications, establish supply lines, gather intelligence. Wealth building requires the same strategic patience. Young Romans see a wealthy merchant and think he got rich quickly through some secret trick, but I'll tell you the truth. Every wealthy Roman I know built their fortunes slowly, strategically, systematically. Fast money rarely lasts. The merchants who get rich quick through speculation or gambling usually lose it just as quickly. But the Romans who build wealth slowly and strategically create fortunes that last generations. This principle challenged everything Marcus had believed. Like most young Romans, he wanted wealth now. He was impatient, always looking for the quick opportunity, the fast profit, the shortcut to prosperity. But the senator's words carried the weight of experience. Here's what festina lente means practically. When you earn money, don't spend it all celebrating your success. Invest 70% back into expanding your businesses. Live on 30%. This requires patience and discipline, but it creates exponential growth over time. When you see a business opportunity, don't jump immediately. Research it for at least 30 days. Study the market, understand the risks, calculate the potential returns. Roman generals don't attack until they know the terrain. Neither should you invest until you understand the opportunity completely. Marcus implemented this principle immediately, and it saved him from several disastrous decisions. 3 times in the next year, he saw amazing opportunities that promised quick riches. His old self would have jumped in immediately, but remembering festina lenti, he researched carefully and discovered that all 3 were essentially scams that would have bankrupted him. Meanwhile, by patiently investing 70% of his earnings back into his businesses and living modestly on 30%, Marcus's wealth began growing faster than he had imagined possible. It wasn't exciting or dramatic. It was systematic and powerful. Comment below if you're willing to commit to the festina lenti principle. Invest 70% of your earnings back into your growth. Live on 30% and watch what happens over the next 12 months. The 4th Roman prosperity principle was revealed during a discussion about Roman engineering, Eterna Fundamenta. Build eternal foundations. Senator Maximus took Marcus to observe the construction of a new aqueduct outside Rome. Marcus, do you know why Roman structures last for centuries while other civilizations' buildings crumble in decades? Marcus thought about it. Better materials? No, the senator smiled. Better foundations. Romans spend more time and resources on foundations than on the visible structure. We dig deep, we build strong, we create bases that will support weight for generations. The same principle applies to wealth. Poor Romans focus on the visible, the clothes, the jewelry, the fancy dinners, the impressive appearance. They have no foundation, so the first economic storm destroys them completely. Wealthy Romans build foundations first. We invest in education, in relationships, in reputation, in skills, in assets that generate income. These foundations are invisible to most people, but they support prosperity for lifetimes. This principle hit Marcus hard. He realized he had been guilty of foundation neglect. Whenever he made good money, his first impulse was to celebrate visibly, to buy better clothes, to eat at finer restaurants, to show everyone he was doing well. The senator explained the practical application. For the next 5 years, Marcus focused on building these 5 foundations of eternal wealth. First, your knowledge foundation. Invest heavily in learning, skills, business education, understanding of markets and human nature. Second, your relationship foundation. Build genuine connections with people of character and capability. Romans prosper through strong networks of mutual support and shared opportunity. Third, your reputation foundation. Become known as a man of integrity, reliability, and value. In Rome, reputation opens more doors than gold ever could. Fourth, your asset foundation. Begin acquiring assets that generate passive income. Real estate, business partnerships, anything that pays you whether you work or not. Fifth, your health foundation. A wealthy man with poor health is just a rich, sick person. Maintain your physical vitality because it supports everything else. Marcus committed to building these 5 foundations systematically. He spent money on private tutors to improve his Greek and mathematics. He invested time building relationships with other merchants, creating a network of mutual support. He earned a reputation for honest dealing and quality goods. He began saving to purchase his first income-generating property, and he maintained his physical training at the gymnasium despite his busy schedule. These foundations weren't exciting. Nobody saw them or applauded them. But over the next 5 years, they would prove to be the difference between temporary success and lasting prosperity. The 5th Roman prosperity principle emerged during a conversation about Roman warfare, virtues in actione, virtue in action or excellence through execution. Marcus, every Roman can have ideas, Senator Maximus said during a lesson at his villa. Ideas are cheap. Execution is everything. The empire wasn't built by dreamers sitting in forums imagining conquest. It was built by legions executing strategy with disciplined action. I see young Romans everywhere talking about their plans, their dreams, their future businesses. They announce their intentions at every gathering, seeking applause for plans that exist only in their imagination. This is worse than having no ideas at all, because talking about plans gives you false satisfaction that removes your motivation to execute them. This was the Roman version of strategic silence that wealthy Romans had practiced for generations. The senator continued, here's the iron law of Roman prosperity. Never announce your plans. Only reveal your results. Work in silence. Let your achievements speak. When you have an idea for a new business venture, tell no one except the specific people who can help you execute it. Not your friends, not your family, not your drinking companions at the tavern. Execute in silence, and when you have results, then people will see. Marcus realized he had been violating this principle constantly. He was always talking about his plans, his ideas, his future ventures. The senator was right. It did give him false satisfaction, and that satisfaction reduced his actual motivation to execute. From that day forward, Marcus became a man of strategic silence. When he identified a new opportunity, he researched it quietly, executed systematically, and only revealed it when he had concrete results to show. The transformation was remarkable. His execution speed increased dramatically because he was channeling all his mental energy into action rather than conversation. Within 6 months of practicing virtues in actione, Marcus had launched 2 new successful ventures that nobody saw coming. People started asking, how is Marcus succeeding so quietly? The answer was simple. He stopped talking and started executing. Tell me in the comments, how many business ideas have you told people about but never executed? And how many of those ideas lost their power the moment you talked about them? This is the devastating cost of ignoring virtues in actione. The 6th Roman prosperity principle was taught during a visit to the Roman Senate, Potentia per Servitium, power through service. Senator Maximus brought Marcus to observe a Senate session. Afterward, he explained something profound. Marcus noticed how true power in Rome flows. The senators with the most influence aren't the ones who demand the most or take the most. They're the ones who serve the most strategic interests. Poor Romans think prosperity comes from getting their share, from protecting what little they have. Wealthy Romans know that prosperity comes from giving value, from serving needs, from solving problems for others. The richest merchant in Rome isn't the one who charges the highest prices. He's the one who serves the most customers with the most value. The most powerful senator isn't the one who demands the most respect. He's the one who serves the empire most effectively. This principle revolutionized Marcus's entire approach to business. He had been focused on what he could get from each transaction, how much profit he could extract, how he could maximize his gain from every deal. And the senator gave him a new framework. Before every business interaction, ask yourself, how can I serve this person's needs so well that they're grateful to pay me? How can I provide so much value that price becomes secondary? How can I solve a problem that actually matters? Marcus implemented this immediately. Instead of just selling pottery, he started asking customers about their specific needs. He created custom pieces for special occasions. He offered guarantees and repairs. He became known not as a merchant trying to sell, but as a craftsman trying to serve. The results were extraordinary. His prices increased because his value increased. His customer base grew through referrals because people genuinely appreciated his service. His reputation spread because he was solving real problems, not just pushing products. Within a year of applying Potentia per servitium, Marcus's income had tripled, not by working 3 times harder, but by serving 3 times better. The 7th Roman prosperity principle was revealed during a discussion about Roman military supply chains, redundantia et securitas. Redundancy and security, or always have backup systems. Marcus, do you know why Roman legions rarely face supply shortages even during long campaigns? The senator asked during a lesson about military logistics. Because we build redundancy into everything. Multiple supply routes, multiple storage facilities, multiple backup plans. The same principle creates financial security. Poor Romans live on the edge of disaster because they have no backup systems. One illness, one bad month, one unexpected expense, and they're ruined. Wealthy Romans build redundancy into their prosperity. We maintain emergency funds that could sustain us for 6 months without income. We have backup income sources if our primary source fails. We diversify our assets across different locations and different forms. We never depend on any single point of prosperity. This principle led Marcus to create what he called his Roman security system first. He committed to building an emergency fund equal to 6 months of living expenses before investing in any luxuries. This took discipline, but it gave him incredible peace of mind. Second, he made sure his 3 income streams came from completely different markets. If pottery demand dropped, his repair business and delivery service would be unaffected. If one failed completely, the others would sustain him. Third, he began diversifying his savings into different forms. Some in coins, some in valuable goods, some in partial ownership of other businesses. If one form of wealth lost value, the others would protect him. This redundancy wasn't exciting. It felt overly cautious to some of his friends. But when economic difficulties hit Rome a few years later, Marcus watched many merchants fail completely while his Roman security system kept him stable and even positioned to buy opportunities at discount prices. The 8th Roman prosperity principle emerged during a lesson about Roman architecture, momentum crescens, growing momentum, or the power of compound growth. Senator Maximus took Marcus to see the Forum of Trajan, one of Rome's most magnificent architectural achievements. Marcus, this forum wasn't built in a day or even a year. It was built stone by stone, column by column, each piece adding to the previous work, creating momentum that resulted in grandeur. Wealthy Romans understand momentum. We know that small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary results over time. Poor Romans want instant transformation. They look for the one big break, the lucky opportunity, the sudden windfall. Most waste their entire lives waiting for something that never comes. But wealthy Romans focus on daily momentum. We ask ourselves, what small action can I take today that will contribute to my prosperity? Not huge dramatic gestures, just consistent valuable actions that build momentum over time. The senator gave Marcus a specific challenge. For the next year, take at least 3 prosperity actions every single day. They can be small. Study your market for 30 minutes. Make 1 valuable business connection. Improve 1 skill. Save 1 portion of your income. Expand 1 aspect of your business. These actions might seem insignificant on any single day, but watch what happens when you do 3 valuable actions every day for a year. That's over 1,000 prosperity actions compounding on each other. The momentum becomes unstoppable. Marcus accepted the challenge and created what he called his daily 3 specific prosperity actions he would take every day regardless of how he felt or what was happening around him. Every day, without exception, Marcus would study something valuable about business or his market for at least 30 minutes. Make at least 1 new valuable business connection or strengthen an existing one. Take at least 1 action to improve or expand his businesses, even if small. The first month felt slow. The second month showed minor improvements. But by the 6th month, Marcus's momentum was obvious to everyone around him. His knowledge had expanded dramatically. His network had grown to include influential Romans. His businesses were all growing systematically. By the end of the year, the compound effect of 1,000 prosperity actions had transformed Marcus from a struggling merchant into a rising business force in Rome. and the momentum continued accelerating from there. Comment below if you're willing to commit to your own daily 3 prosperity actions for the next 90 days. I promise you, the momentum you build will shock you. The 9th Roman prosperity principle was taught during a conversation about Roman military tactics, adaptatio aut mors, adapt or die. Marcus, Rome has conquered the known world not because we have the biggest armies, but because we adapt faster than our enemies, Senator Maximus explained during a lesson on strategy. When we fight Greeks, we adopt their phalanx tactics. When we fight Carthaginians, we learn naval warfare. When we encounter new weapons, we improve them. Adaptation is our greatest strength. In commerce, adaptation is equally crucial. The markets change, customer needs evolve, new opportunities emerge, old businesses become obsolete. Romans who rigidly cling to old methods get left behind. Romans who adapt continuously stay prosperous. Here's your principle. Every 3 months, evaluate your businesses honestly. What's working? What's failing? What's changing in your market? What new opportunities are emerging? What old methods need to be abandoned? Then adapt accordingly, even if it's uncomfortable. This principle challenged Marcus significantly. Like most people, he wanted to find a formula that worked and then repeat it forever without change. Adaptation required constant attention, learning, and willingness to abandon what was familiar. But he committed to quarterly adaptation reviews. Every 3 months, he would spend a full day honestly evaluating his businesses and making necessary adaptations. Sometimes this meant dropping products that were no longer profitable. Sometimes it meant entering new markets he had previously ignored. Sometimes it meant changing his entire approach to a business. This quarterly adaptation practice kept Marcus's businesses relevant and growing even as markets changed around him. While other merchants complained that business isn't what it used to be, Marcus was adapting and prospering in the new reality. 5 years into his prosperity journey, Marcus's willingness to adapt gave him his biggest breakthrough. He noticed that wealthy Romans were increasingly interested in Greek art and philosophy. While other Roman merchants ignored this trend or complained about it, Marcus adapted. He traveled to Greece, established connections with Greek artists and philosophers, and began importing high-quality Greek goods to Rome within 2 years. This adapted business line became his most profitable venture, earning more than all his original businesses combined. The 10th and most powerful Roman prosperity principle was revealed during Marcus's final lesson with Senator Maximus, Hereditatis Aeterna, eternal legacy or building prosperity that transcends your lifetime. Marcus, you've learned 9 principles of prosperity, and you've applied them well, the senator said during their final formal lesson. You're now a wealthy man by any Roman's measure. But there's one final principle that separates the truly great Romans from merely successful ones. It's this: true prosperity isn't measured by what you accumulate in your lifetime. It's measured by what you create that lasts beyond your lifetime. The greatest Romans build wealth that serves their children's children. They create systems, businesses, reputations, and wisdom that compound across generations. Poor Romans think only about themselves, about their immediate needs and wants. Wealthy Romans think in terms of family lines and generational impact. We ask ourselves, what am I building that will prosper my family for generations? What wisdom am I passing down? What systems am I creating that will outlast me? This principle transformed Marcus's entire motivation for prosperity. It was no longer about his comfort or status. It became about creating something meaningful that would serve his future family and community long after he was gone. Marcus began thinking and acting generationally. He started documenting the prosperity principles he had learned, creating a manual for his future children. He built his businesses to be sustainable systems rather than depending entirely on his personal effort. He invested in real estate and assets that would generate income for generations. He began mentoring other young Romans, passing forward the wisdom that Senator Maximus had given him. 10 years after that first conversation at the Forum, Marcus had become one of the most prosperous merchants in Rome. But more importantly, he had built a prosperity system that would serve his family for generations to come. His children would inherit not just wealth, but the wisdom and systems to maintain and multiply it. His grandchildren would benefit from assets he established. His great-grandchildren would still tell stories about the merchant who transformed his family's destiny through Roman prosperity principles. Senator Maximus, now very old, visited Marcus at his magnificent villa overlooking the Mediterranean. Marcus, you've exceeded every expectation. You've not only become wealthy, you've become wise. You've not only built prosperity, you've built legacy. Marcus bowed respectfully to his mentor. Everything I have I owe to you, Senator. You taught me the principles that Romans have used to build the greatest empire in history. The senator smiled. No, Marcus. I simply revealed what was already available to anyone willing to learn and apply it. These principles built Rome, and they built you. Now your responsibility is to pass them forward so others can build their own prosperity using the same eternal wisdom. And that's exactly what Marcus did. For the rest of his life, he mentored young Romans who showed genuine hunger for prosperity wisdom. He shared the 10 principles freely, knowing that prosperity multiplies when shared rather than hoarded. Now let me bring this story into your present reality. You're watching this video 2,000 years after Marcus lived, but these 10 Roman prosperity principles are just as powerful today as they were in ancient Rome. Let me summarize them again because these could transform your financial reality if you have the wisdom to apply them. Roman Prosperity Principle 1. Mens imperit fortuna. Master your mind before you master money. Practice daily abundance meditation before dawn. Build wealth consciousness first. Financial wealth will follow. Roman Prosperity Principle 2. Divide et multiplica. Create multiple streams of income. Never depend on a single source. Diversify your prosperity across different ventures. Roman Prosperity Principle 3. Festina lenti. Make haste slowly. Build wealth strategically and systematically, not recklessly. Invest 70% of earnings back into growth. Live on 30%. Roman Prosperity Principle 4. Eterna fundamenta. Build eternal foundations. Invest in education, relationships, reputation, assets, and health before investing in appearances or luxuries. Roman Prosperity Principle 5. Virtues in action. Excellence through execution. Work in silence. Reveal only results. Stop announcing plans and start achieving them. Roman Prosperity Principle 6. Potentia per servitium. Power through service. Create wealth by solving problems and serving needs, not by extracting value or manipulating people. Roman Prosperity Principle 7. Reduntia et securitas. Build backup systems. Maintain 6 months emergency fund. Diversify income sources. Spread assets across different forms and locations. Roman Prosperity Principle 8. Momentum crescens. Build growing momentum through consistent daily actions. Take at least 3 prosperity actions every single day and watch them compound. Roman Prosperity Principle 9. Adaptatio aut mors. Adapt or die. Review your businesses quarterly, identify what's changing, and adapt accordingly even when uncomfortable. Roman Prosperity Principle 10. Haeredis aeterna. Build eternal legacy. Think generationally. Create systems that transcend your lifetime. Pass wisdom forward to future generations. These aren't just ancient history lessons. These are the exact principles that built Roman fortunes, and they're the same principles modern billionaires still use today, often without even knowing they're following ancient Roman wisdom. The question is, will you apply them? Or will you watch this video, feel inspired for a moment, and then return to the same financial patterns that have kept you stuck? Comment below with complete honesty. Which of these 10 principles resonates most deeply with you? Which one are you already applying? Which one do you most need to implement immediately? Because here's the truth. Knowledge without application is worthless. Marcus didn't become prosperous by knowing these principles. He became prosperous by living them daily, systematically, without excuse or exception. You have the same opportunity right now that Marcus had 2,000 years ago. The same principles that built his prosperity can build yours. The same wisdom that transformed a struggling merchant into a wealthy Roman can transform your financial reality. But it requires commitment. It requires discipline. It requires the willingness to do what unsuccessful people refuse to do. Wake up early for abundance meditation. Build multiple income streams. Invest in foundations before luxuries. Work in strategic silence. Serve others genuinely. Create backup systems. Take daily prosperity actions. Adapt quarterly. And think generationally. If you're willing to commit to these principles for the next 12 months, I promise you, your financial reality will transform in ways that seem impossible right now. Not through magic or luck, but through the systematic application of prosperity principles that have worked for 2,000 years. The Roman Empire fell, but Roman prosperity principles are eternal. They worked in ancient Rome, they work in modern times. They'll work for you if you work them. So here's your choice. You can close this video and continue with the same financial patterns that have created your current results. Or you can decide right now to become a modern Marcus, applying ancient Roman prosperity wisdom to create contemporary wealth. If you choose the path of prosperity, start tomorrow morning with the Matutina Meditatio. Wake up before dawn, sit in silence, and build your wealth consciousness through focused visualization and abundance meditation. Then, throughout your day, ask yourself constantly, am I applying Roman prosperity principles to this situation? Which principle does this decision require? How would a prosperous Roman handle this opportunity? Within 30 days of consistent application, you'll notice changes. Within 90 days, others will notice changes. Within 1 year, your entire financial reality will have transformed. And years from now, when you're living in the prosperity you created through these eternal principles, you'll look back at this moment, this video, this decision as the turning point when everything changed. Share this video with 3 people who need to hear this message. Romans believed that prosperity multiplies when shared. and they were right. The more people who learn and apply these principles, the more prosperous our entire community becomes. Subscribe to this channel if you're committed to applying ancient wisdom to create modern prosperity. We'll continue exploring the wealth secrets of history's most successful civilizations and showing you exactly how to apply them in your life today. Comment Roman prosperity below if you're committing to these 10 principles for the next 12 months. Let your commitment be public so the universe knows you're serious about your transformation. Remember, you're not just learning about prosperity. You're connecting with a lineage of wealth wisdom that spans thousands of years, from ancient Roman merchants to modern billionaires who still follow these same eternal principles. The prosperity you seek is not new. The principles that create it are not secret. They're ancient, proven, and available to anyone wise enough to learn them and disciplined enough to apply them. Marcus Aurelius Severus started as a struggling merchant selling pottery in a Roman market. He became a prosperity legend whose wealth served his family for generations. The only difference between Marcus then and you now is that he learned these principles and applied them relentlessly. You have the same opportunity. You have the same principles. You have the same potential. The only question is, will you apply them with the same commitment that Marcus did? Your financial destiny is waiting. Divine prosperity is calling. The wisdom of Rome is before you. All that remains is your decision to begin the journey and your commitment to walk it completely. Until we meet again in the next exploration of ancient prosperity wisdom, walk like a Roman, think like a Roman, prosper like a Roman. The empire may have fallen, but the prosperity principles are eternal, and they're yours to claim starting today.